Okay. Good evening, Facebook family. What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Holy cow. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to give it a few more minutes and let some people come in. Thank you for bearing with me. This has been quite the roller coaster this evening. I basically, long story short, I double booked myself, and then it came to find out that I actually didn't. I thought I double booked myself, but then I didn't double book myself. But then because I started moving stuff around, then I did actually double book myself. So it's been one of those days. But I appreciate you bearing with me. I appreciate your flexibility and your patience, and super excited for tonight. I am just thrilled to be able to share the information that I have to share with you. And so I'm going to quickly go over to Facebook and just share this out. I am elated. I am so excited because I feel like what I have to share with you is the number one question that a lot of people have whenever it comes to credit repair or credit building organizations, companies. So, if you want to lump all of them together around credit building, so that could mean credit consulting, debt consolidation, debt negotiating and settlement, and then just really just money management and financial literacy education. All of that, in my opinion, even though they're different capacities and they're for different purposes, I feel like they could all be lumped together. And I'm going to go into why I think that here shortly. But I wanted to let some folks in and wait for some people to jump on because I do know that I had to change the time on the event. No, you're not going crazy. I did actually go in and change it at the last minute, subsequently at the last minute. So I want to wait just a few more minutes. I'm at about 3 minutes in now. I'll wait until 4 minutes in, and then we will jump in. But um, while we are waiting, for those of you who are watching this on replay, please put in the comments #replay so that I know that y'all are watching it after the fact. If you're watching it live, please let me know where you're from. Let me know, where you saw that that I was hosting this, so that I can, put more information and more value in those places. I want to be where you are, and I want to be able to provide the most valuable, the most insightful, the most productive, the most impactful value and information possible. But I want it to be where you are. I don't want you to have to just go and start searching it out. So, um, definitely want to do that, whether it be, Instagram, Facebook. Um, I'm live on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube right now. All of these are recorded, and I have them on my YouTube channel at Dream Life Innovations. I also have all of these obviously on my Facebook page at Dream Life Innovations and on Instagram. Instagram after the live is ended, but like I said, you can catch the recording on this one or any of the others, or any of those moving forward, on any of those channels. So without further ado, let me dive right in. So welcome. This specific video is going to be talking more about, like I was saying at the very beginning, about credit restoration and trying to figure out if you even need credit restoration. Because while the numbers do speak for themselves, there are approximately 100 million Americans with less than a 599 credit score. Not all of them require, when I say credit restoration, require negative items being removed or late payment history being removed. Now, there are a number of times where that's needed, but not always. And we're going to go into that here tonight. In addition to, if you don't need credit restoration or if you don't need credit repair, I want to show you that I can still provide value and I can still help you in other ways to build your credit if it's just shallow, if maybe you need a trade line, a positive trade line built, and I'll help you, get into all of that and kind of fill your way through that. Because, like I said, one of the biggest pain points that I have found is that most people don't know whether or not they need it. Some people, I've seen a lot of people reach out and they didn't need credit repair. And I was like, no, here's what you need to do. You need to open up a credit card, use it responsibly, use it in this manner, blah, 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 rinse and repeat 6 months later, and you should be where you're at. Other people who don't think that they need credit repair have an eviction, have a bankruptcy, have 3 collections and 15 charged offs, and they're like, it'll drop off one day. And they don't understand that it's going to take them 20 years to get it back to where they need it to be in order to reach their financial goals. Okay. So, one of the things that I wanted to mention right here at the beginning is that I understand there are a lot of folks who are either on right now or who are going to be tuning in or watching this at a later time or even on replay. They have all kinds of backgrounds, they have all kinds of experiences, they're even in all kinds of industries and in different professions. What I would like to communicate to you is that no matter what type of capacity or what type of um, needs you're looking for or you could utilize within your business, if we work on a B2B case, a referral based relationship, or even just a strictly B2B relationship, I work with nothing less than complete white glove service. Okay. So, what that means is I was talking with someone the other day and they were looking at adding the services that I offer and integrating them in with what they offer within their business. And I said, look, there are a lot of people out there, neither are right nor wrong completely. But I said, there are a lot of people out there who, play the sign up game, so to speak. And then there are others out there, such as myself, that I'm not looking to just get you in a system and then press the big red button and watch you roll down the conveyor belt. I have white gloves on and I take the most utmost respect and care for your clients while they are mine. And just as much once I pass them back if they have questions or before, if they also have questions. So if you are looking for someone to partner with who is reputable, who has seen the results, and who has been through this themselves, is a product of the product, I would really like to have a conversation because I take just as much pride in helping someone else as I did whenever I went through it myself. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that because if I hadn't, then this next part really would not hold as much weight. And that is, who am I? You can go on Instagram and type in hashtag credit repair, and literally for the rest of the year, you can be scrolling and not come across the same person twice. Like, there are so many people in this space And it's almost, I mean, it stands to reason why those two words get the reputation that they get, because there's so many people. I'm not even going to go into it. You already know what I'm talking about. A lot of people that I've worked with have fallen for those types of outfits. I'm not that. That's not me. And my story goes like this. So when I graduated college, my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, and I were looking to buy a home. Well, I graduated unknowingly, well, knowingly, denyingly, with credit card debt, student loans, and even some collections, some late payment history, and this, that, and the other, aka a wrecked credit score. Didn't know exactly the ins and outs of how I got there. I just knew what it was, and I knew, that I needed to do something about it. And so, in 2019, this lady, my now mentor, this lady by the name of Reza, at the time Reza Otero, now Reza Santiago, reached out to me on Facebook, as I've probably done with many of you, and said, "Hey, do you know someone with less than perfect credit?" And on the other side of the screen, on my side of the screen, I'm sitting there going, "Yes, yes, that's me. That's me. How do you know? That's me. This is a little weird, but yes, that's me." But I didn't tell her that. I said, "I don't know, maybe," or I said something like that. I don't exactly remember how I responded, but all I know is that I didn't sign up that day. I didn't sign up a week later. I didn't sign up a month later. I didn't sign up 6 months later. In fact, this lady, and this stands to reason why she is as successful as she is, and why she's taught me as much as she has, is that this lady basically provided enough value for 8 months. You heard me right, 8 months, until one day in August of 2019, I finally said, "You know what? If you were a scammer, would have been caught by now. If you weren't serious about this, you would have gone away by now. And you've given me enough value to where I could already do this on my own, but I still haven't. So let me go ahead and do this, and let me just see what happens." And I did. And believe it or not, um it was incredible. It was like opening up a whole degree, a whole curriculum that I should have had in school, but yet we didn't. It taught me about budgeting. It taught me about credit restoration, how it works, what to do, what not to do. It taught me about how to realize my net worth. It taught me all of these things that we've already gone over in other videos and at other times, but it taught me all of that. And 4 months later, 3 days before Christmas, she calls me up, and we had talked in between that. Don't get me wrong, I'm just fast forwarding. 3 days before Christmas, she calls me up and she goes, "Hey, Merry Christmas and congratulations. Have you looked at your credit score lately?" And I said, "Well, not in the past few weeks." She goes, "Go and look." And believe it or not, my credit score had increased 126 points. I saw two collections removed, late payment history removed. I had 20% late payment history was added back to that one individual. Remember that 35% added back to my payment history. And I had something like 10 or 15 hard inquiries removed in the matter of 4 months. And all the while, I'm learning all of this other stuff about how to fish, while someone is basically giving me fish on the side so that I can eat. And they're helping me learn how to fish. And I mean, it was incredible. So when I say that I've been there, I've been there. When I say that I've done that, I've done that. And I've been doing it ever since. I started in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic when I got sent home from corporate America because everybody else did too. And I said, you know what? I want to do something. In the words of Steve Jobs, I want to do something that puts my own dent on the universe. And so that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been working for towards doing. So that's my story. That's how I got involved in credit repair. Um, and so, yeah. So having said all of that, let's dive into the meat because I feel like that's what you've been waiting to hear, right? If I've provided value so far, please put something in the chat. Put a yes in the chat. Would love to hear some feedback. If you have any questions so far, please let me know. But getting to the meat and potatoes of why I wanted to jump on here tonight about this specific topic is why does someone need credit repair? Like why spend the money? Why spend the time? Why the persistence? Why the patience? And what is the ultimate goal? So with thank you so much, Stephanie. That means the world to me. I really, really appreciate it. Um, so why credit repair? Why did somebody need it? So, like I was saying in the last video, in 1970, Congress passed a law called the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And they did this basically in layman's terms to give you and me the privilege, the right as American citizens to dispute anything and everything on our credit reports, on all three major credit reports by all three major credit bureaus at any given time. Does not matter if it's perceived as negative or is perceived as positive. If there is something on there that you do not want or think that there should be on there, you have the right to dispute it with all three credit bureaus, yourself or through a third party. Okay. And so I and the program that I operate within under through UCES and their nonprofit, the YFL Financial Literacy Foundation, the Youth Financial Literacy Foundation, operates within the guidelines of that FCRA. You can read those stipulations at the bottom of any credit card statement. A lot of bank statements will have the verbiage or on the back side. And so that's what we operate under. Now, with that being said, you can do any and all of this on your own. There are a lot of people out there who will insist that you cannot. They will insist that you will do this, that, or the other. They will insist that it is not worth your time. But at the end of the day, the answer is can I do this myself? The answer is yes. Now, there is a but. And I will not agree with them 100% because I feel like a lot of the times it can be malicious with malicious intent on why they say that you should not and cannot do that, but they're not entirely wrong. And what I mean by that is under the FCRA, there is also verbiage and proper ways of going about instigating an investigation to go through that dispute process. There are proper ways, just like going through courts, just like, different ways of going through the legal and judicial system. This is one of those. The law states that it has to be done a certain way. And if it's not, then even if you send it in paper form, which first and foremost, Do not dispute anything online. I know Credit Karma will make it look really easy to do and really enticing, but it will bite you faster than any other method of disputing something negative on your credit. So if you are writing it on a piece of paper and you mail it in, if it's not done properly with specific verbiage, they have every right on their side to rip it up and throw it in the trash. Okay. So there's point number one. Point number two, if you, that was odd. Point number two, if you decide to dispute it, make sure that you are understanding what and how and why you are disputing something. If you dispute it as verification, then all you're asking them to do is say, hey, does this look like it's mine? Does this look like it belongs to me? And sometimes they'll say, no, that's not yours. I'm sorry, we made a mix up, and they'll delete it. Sometimes I would say probably about 20 to 30% of the time. So if you want to run a 1 in 4 chance, then you can do a debt verification or an account verification letter, and you can run that dispute on all of your accounts. However, if you want to run what they call a debt validation or an account validation letter, which is the process that we take, the method that we use through our, again, I'm not writing the letters. This is through our team of attorneys, credit attorneys, not just any legal attorneys, credit attorneys. Then that's when they have to reach out and say, hey, is this account valid? Meaning, has it been processed? If it was sold to a third party, if it stands with a third party right now, was it purchased by the third party validly? Was it sold by the original creditor validly? 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be, because they don't have the contract. Little tip. But also, has it been updated and continuously maintained validly and accurately and legally? And if any of those things are a no, tossed out the door or a window. So with all of that being said, last but not least, you can do this. You can do it on your own. It has to be done under the FCRA. But the biggest reason why someone might need credit repair is convenience and time. If you have a full-time job, kids, errands, appointments, taking your in-laws places, taking care of whoever, if you have a life essentially and you are trying to reach your financial goals, but your credit score is hindering you, and it is because you have a negative item or more on your credit reports, that would be the biggest reason why you should go through a reputable credit repair company. Okay. Just laying it out there. No bells and whistles, no fluff, no sugarcoating. If you have a life and you have a packed schedule and you need someone to oversee all of this for you at a reasonable rate, I'm not talking about somebody who's going to charge you $1,500 or $2,000 and say, come back in 6 months. Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, if you're not paying attention to it, they're not either. I know you paid them. I know you paid them a lot, but if they're making that much off of you, they're not going to do you justice. I promise you. they're not. Not someone who is going to be there side by side with you. Great question, Stephanie. I'll get to that here in just a second. So before I do, the last part that I wanted to make crystal clear. So if you have something on your credit reports, late payment history, hard inquiries, derogatory items. Derogatory items could be something as little as a collection. I say little, something as um, common as a collection or a charged off account, or something as uncommon and huge as a collection or a bankruptcy, or even like a repossession or an eviction, something bigger that may have taken place within your life that then affected your credit score. If you have anything like that, and you have a goal of buying a home, of getting out of debt, out of bad debt, of buying a new car, of going solar, of remodeling, and you need a line of credit and you can't get it because your score, any of those financial goals, major financial goals that have to realize your good credit, that is why you would need credit repair. Okay. Now, um, to your question, because I feel like I could that this is a good segue into that. Is there a statute of limitations on how far back you can go? The answer is yes and no. And I believe I understand what you're asking as far as how far back. So I'll answer it, and if I'm wrong, then just let me know and I'll revise. But so if, let's say for instance, you have a collection, the statute of limitations on a collection is 7 years. Okay. Uh, the statute of limitations on an eviction, I believe, is also 7 years. The statute of limitations on a bankruptcy is up to 10 years. Now, with that being said, the law is the law, but the law is also the law. What I mean by that is that there are there are parts to that law, all the subsections and everything. There are parts to that law that folks like me in my position have to abide by. There are parts to that law that all the citizens, even though it's a right for them, they also have to go about it the right way. So those are parts that they have to abide by. And then there are also parts that the creditors and the collection agencies have to abide by. And that's where it gets into the other associated act around debt collection and how many times a day they can call you and all that kind of stuff. But on the other side, there are also, so long story short, there are pros, but there are cons, but there are also pros that help you, that help me, and also that in some ways help them. And so the biggest one is, like you said, that statute of limitations. There is a time clock on an account. Mm, I don't want to say a majority of the time. I don't even want to say most of the time. Some of the time, when your account, let's say it goes into bankruptcy, if it is 7 years old, some of the times it will drop off. If you have essentially ignored them, if you have not given them any evidence to file a subpoena against you or move it forward, it will drop off. Now, you have a decision to make. Either you can wait the 7 years, or you can go through someone like me who can dispute it, verify and validate, and attempt to get it removed, which we have a lot of success with. The other risk, though, is if you are playing the 7-year rule game, then You also run the risk that if they do collect any of that, or if they decide to sell it, then it resets that clock. So if you're in year 3 or 4 and they're still calling you every now and then trying to get the money for the account and it gets sold, that can reset the clock. So now your year 3 or 4 turns into year 0. If you pick up the phone one day and they're like, "Hey, is this Miss Jones?" And you're like, "Yes, who is speaking? This is Miss Jones. How can I help you?" And they say, "Okay, thank you. We would like to negotiate this debt." And you're like, "I don't want to negotiate that debt." And they say, "Okay, thank you." And they call back a couple weeks later and try it again. And you say, "Oh, I already called. You already talked to me. I'm not negotiating that debt. Um, I something, something, something." And it continues connecting you to them and to that debt that resets the clock. And all this while, they're trying to tie you and strengthen that bond between you and the debt. Because remember, they don't have the signature. So they don't have the contract. They have to build a case. So while they're doing that, if they don't have enough and that 7 years runs out, then it has a pretty good chance of dropping off. Well, if it runs out, then it's going to drop off. But if it gets close to that and they don't have anything, there's a pretty good chance it's going to drop off. I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, please feel free to clarify. Um, so, with that being said, the next thing that I wanted to kind of get into is and kind of touch on is how what we do is different from some of the others because you've seen the commercials, you've seen the different types of products that talk about building your credit repair. You've got Chime, you've got Self, you've got creditrepair.com, you've got Lexington Law, you've got these secured cards, commercials, ads, all this kind of stuff saying, "Oh, it's so easy, it's so easy." All this kind of stuff. But if you don't know how to utilize the tools, like driving a car. You don't know how to turn the steering wheel. It doesn't matter if you hell on the car, it's not going to do you much good, right? So if you don't, if you, yeah. So what makes this different? Well, I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but it's the whole premise, the way that we operate is that we would rather teach you how to fish, teach you how to build your credit and maintain your credit and keep that credit optimized versus just send you an invoice, which I'll touch on that in just a second. That's actually illegal, but basically say, okay, when you come and pick up your credit score, your shiny new credit score, it's going to be $8,000. That does you no good. That does nobody any good. Because when you come to pick up your credit score, or when you show up, when you pull up the app on the day that they tell you to, if it's in the ballpark that you're expecting it to be, you're going to have no idea how it got there. You're going to have no idea what they did, and you're going to have no idea what to do if it reverses and goes back the other direction. On the contrary, though, if you have a budget, if you have tools in place to monitor your credit score and everything that's reporting, if you have ways to monitor your identity, if you have ways to protect your assets and pass them down whenever the time comes through a will and trust, if you have ways to develop and build and achieve savings goals so that you can do things like save up for the down payment for a car or for a home, or save, X some amount of money to be able to renovate. You know, if you know how to do these things, if you know how to properly utilize a credit card, if you know how to properly utilize and know how many installment loans to have at any given time, then you have a much better idea and you're enabled in a much better capacity to be able to maintain that credit score once it gets to 750, 800, 850. You know, I read I think it was a post one time that put it into pretty good perspective. And it said, if you don't know how to manage $10 and you just spend it willy nilly, you're not going to know how to manage 100. And on the contrary, in addition, if you don't know how to manage $100 and you just go out and blow it at a casino or blow it, at a show or something, you're sure as heck not going to be able to manage $1,000 or know how to properly manage it. And if you can't properly manage $1,000 and you just go and, blow it on the first nice thing that you see, you're definitely not going to be able to manage $100,000. And if you can't manage $100,000 because you just go out and spend it on things that are going to depreciate, like sports cars or, whatever, like businesses that fell or anything like that, then you're definitely 100% never going to happen be able to manage $1 million. And so if you can't manage a 600 credit score, how can you manage a 700? If you can't manage a 700 credit score, how can you manage an 800? If you can't manage an 800 credit score, how can you manage an 850? And so you see my posts all the time. Knowledge is power. We have literally everything right in the palm of your hand. My phone's right there recording. Right in the palm of your hand that you can pull up no matter if you are in the United States, on a cruise ship, on a space station, wherever you are. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, you can pull it up and you can see everything, and you have access to all the parts of the Swiss Army knife that you need in order to maintain and build and rebuild if you need to, and optimize and ultimately protect your credit score. Okay. Now, the last topic that I have for this evening, I know I was late, so I wanted to keep this short and simple. The last topic that I have for this evening is this one. So I told you at the beginning that I would tell you who needs credit restoration, who needs credit repair, right? Well, it's only responsible of me if I also let you know who does not need credit repair. Okay. So again, like the banner said, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not here to waste anybody's time. I don't want to take your money. I don't want you to, waste anything, any resource that you have. I want to help you build it up. And if that means turning someone away because I can't responsibly, ethically help them, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, if you are someone who does not have a credit score, like you log in to Credit Karma and it says 0 or no data, you do not need credit repair. What you need is you need a secured card, and I can teach you how to use it. And you need to take out some type of installment loan. That could be a personal loan. That could be a loan through like Self or one of these other online platforms, or it could even be like a HELOC or like some type of loan from a credit repair, credit union rather, something like that. And I can teach you how to utilize those. But rinse and repeat, and 6 months later, bam, you're looking at minimum 700 because it's easy. It's so much easier to build your credit score from scratch than have to remove and build your credit score along the way. Remove negative items and build it along the way. It's so much easier to build it from scratch. It's going to be shallow. So think about that GPA analogy that we talked about. It's going to be shallow, but it's going to be there. Okay. Now, that's scenario one. Scenario two, if you are in that latter boat and you have shallow credit, you don't need credit repair in the traditional sense. Now, as far as the protection plan goes, we can help you in any aspect. If you're needing to remove negative items, we can help you start your journey there. If you're just needing to build your credit and then protect it and organize it, we can help you start your journey there. If you're just needing a will and trust and you already have assets and you just want to use it for the credit monitoring and the budgeting and the identity theft monitoring that protects you up to $1 million in damages, we can help you there. But strictly speaking, for credit repair, if you have shallow credit, you do not need credit repair. You need to build disciplines that I can also help you with. And you need to build processes, systems, checks and balances, accountabilities. That's what you need. Okay. So just like I said, for those who do need credit repair, it's just as important for those who do need credit repair to know that they need it versus those who do not need credit repair and to know that they don't need. So, to know that they don't need it with full confidence. That's what I'm getting at. Like a lot of people, like you can think, oh, I don't need that. But do you actually know? Like, what is the reason why? Do you actually know? Like a lot of people just think that they don't need life insurance because they're 25. They got 75 years ahead of them. Not always the case. This is the same instance. You don't know what you don't know. And that's why I'm in business. Okay. That's why I'm here to help. That's why I want to help you. That's why I'm spending my time at 9:15 at night on a Tuesday talking to you fine folks. Because I want to help. I want to get this information out there. I want to share this with as many people as humanly possible. A year from now, if I have 1,000 people on these, and I will be here on, maybe not in this room, but I will be on these lives a year from now doing something similar to this. It'll be more sophisticated and different content, but I will be here and I will be talking about financial literacy till I'm blue in the face or I die one. And that is the mountain that I will go out on because I strongly believe it. My kids will have it. My kids' will have it. And if it's in 3 generations, if not sooner, if we're not the Rockefellers, then it's because we didn't want to be. And it starts with financial literacy. It does. So with that being said, again, I don't want to waste any more of your time. I hope that you've gotten value out of this. I hope it hasn't been a waste of your time. Stephanie, you're a rock star. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you everyone for being on. what I'm going to do is the next topic. Um, don't actually know what the next topic is going to be. Let me see. Um, the next topic is, please hold 1 second. Tap next topic is going to be, and if you ever have a topic that you want me to touch on, I will be more than happy. So, oh, this will be fun. So the next topic that I will talk about on Thursday. It's going to be on Thursday. If this time worked out well for y'all, please let me know in the comments, and I can do this 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you want me to do lunchtime, if you want me to do early in the morning, do like a 6 a.m. Broadcast. I don't mind doing that. Like I said at the beginning of the call, I want to be where y'all are. I want to be on whenever it's convenient for you. You've obviously seen by now how important and how valuable the information is. And it's only going to get even more productive, more valuable as we go from here on out. So I think what I'm going to do on Thursday, the time is TBD, but I am going to do a Zoom, or I'm going to do a live around credit restoration, or excuse me, around credit scores as they pertain to mortgages. Okay. And I may even have a guest speaker or two. Maybe. We'll see. So mortgages and credit scores. If you have someone who is in the market, who is thinking about being in the market, who isn't in the market because they think that their credit score is holding them back, they need to be on this. 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 So, with that being said, I will see y'all on Thursday. Have a good night.